They tell me you have to hit record or it doesn't work. Okay, I'll
Really?
leave it in.
Okay. I'm just going to watch you take a lead from that.
Back again on the floor of the Music City Drum Show in Nashville, Tennessee, with all kinds of great musicians and industry folks. And here's a friend of mine who's a little of both, or a lot of both, I guess. Chris Bennett, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How?
Good to see you. We got our wrong hands here.
We got to do that, yeah.
Yeah, and Chris is from Austin, Texas.
I am.
And he's a working pro and a teacher, and he also has a stick company. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, let's make sure that this is facing the screen, and I have to do
There you go, you got it.
Looks backwards.
Okay. I'll flip it.
Bopworks Drumsticks, we started out primarily doing jazz stuff, smaller sticks, and are kind of moving into normal size sticks, but most of the sticks are lighter or thinner in the front, so if you got Ks, it's not going to overdrive it as much, and that's why I started it, and because I had a K that really wasn't making it. So.
You're talking about an old K, vintage Turkish K.
Turkish K.
From way back.
Yes, and I think I tried it on a Istanbul. Or
perhaps even a Bosphorus.
I think Bosphorus was the best of the ones I tried. So, anyway, probably 5 of the 7 models are designed for that longer taper than this. Yes, and here's Michael with the. So we call it. This is the Birdland model after. Well, you all know. Right?
No, well, no, a lot of people don't know.
Oh, okay.
We have
famous
kids
club.
watching who don't know this.
Aha. There's a famous nightclub on 52nd?
I thought it was on 52nd Street.
Okay.
Swing Street back
in
then.
New York City. Yeah. So back in the 50s, a lot of famous jazz drummers played there.
There's a new one now. There's a Birdland as well now.
Is there? Yes, there is.
There's a new one in New York. So it's a staple of jazz music. It's a venue that's been around forever. And a jazz stick would differ from, this stick would differ from something I would use on a stadium tour. How?
Well, if you repeat the question.
This would be not the stick I would choose to use on a shed tour, Rolling Stones kind of, a giant stadium tour.
It would work with like a Metallica kind of thing, but... No, so the idea is thinner tip,
right?
Thinner taper. So if you've got a OK or a Istanbul or a Bosphorus in particular, and it has a little bit too much wash, this will kind of do it. This is very close to the 60s Roy Haynes model, in fact.
Now talk about the bead. There's a long tapered bead.
Long tapered bead.
Which is great on cymbals.
Exactly. Particularly on Bosphorus, I guess. But
Get out of here.
Yeah. So more contact with the cymbal. So, and then with the long taper, you're getting kind of the best of both worlds.
Okay, so Chris found a spot in the marketplace that was not overrun with 10,000 sticks that are all the same, and found something different suitable to jazz players for the most part. Though you are breaking out and making larger sticks?
We have a couple, the Rhythm and Groove stick, which is almost like a 5 bead.
Right.
And then a really long taper. So that gives you a feeling of heftier stick, but you can play and still get a lighter sound.
How about brushes?
Funny you should mention that, especially since I didn't bring over. But we've got spread lock brushes, which will lock in at 2 inches, push them forward, and then you get a 4-inch spread. You can pull them back to a 2-inch, and they'll stay. And they've got 13 gauge wire, I believe, which is all the stuff that I used to get off eBay because I couldn't find.
Because you couldn't find them here. You get the Taiwanese brushes and.
I think most of the gauges are heavier because people are playing.
So you're making light brushes, light sticks. Tell me about your new your new thing. You sent me one of these, and it's really cool.
Thank you. Okay. So we took a long time doing this, but it's the Bopworks Stick Station, which I shall hold up here momentarily.
The
First, we'll show you
stick station.
Stick Station, which can be recognized upside down.
Logo on the bottom. Yeah.
Right. So we've got three posts on the bottom, all slight taper, and let's see if I can do this.
Want me to hold something? Yeah, that demonstrates it.
Yeah.
It's similar to a mic clip.
Very. And the clip is really flexible, so we made it so it could almost fit any metal rim. Over at the booth, we've got drums. Every side has die cast or S, hoop, or the stick saver.
Right.
So it took a really long time and a lot of iterations to get this thing going.
But when I bring it back, I want them to see what it really is. So that's the mechanism on the bottom that hooks onto your rim, and then the stick station itself hooks onto one or more of these clips. But just so he's got another one there. So just so you see what this is, this would hook onto the edge of your the edge of your drum, and you can put a pair of brushes, a pair of sticks, a pair of mallets, whatever. Generally, people would put it on the floor, Tom, I imagine, where you can just reach over and solve that problem of where do you put the sticks when you pick up the brushes? Where do you put the brushes when you pick up the sticks? How do you not drop them? How do you have them? Where are you going to put them? How's it going to work? This solves it. Did I get it right?
Pretty much it. Yeah, and
Can I get a job?
Say again. Yeah, it does a great job.
You need a job? I mean, I need a job.
Oh, you need a job.
Well, yeah.
I think probably give us a year and we can talk. Maybe.
All right.
It's, so anyway, the clip is the thing that makes it work. Let's see if we can do that.
Yeah, I think people know that from mic clamps.
Yeah.
That go on, drum mics go on to the shells
Same idea,
on the rims, basically, with something like that.
It is.
But this is the innovative part.
Yes.
That's just a clamp that goes on.
Well, actually, I go the other way. The thing, because this is the thing that will fit on, like a Gretsch hoop or Slingerland.
Right.
Or
Okay. I see.
Single clinch. So yeah, and then if you want to put that on the middle pose.
I'm trying to work to the camera. There you go. You see how that works.
Okay. So the difference is once you get
I got it.
2 or 3 clips on there, like you do metal, so you'd want to use 3 clips, right?
Oh no, yeah, I'm a metalhead, right?
Yeah. So, but if you're doing a jazz gig or whatever, you could use 1 clip.
Most metalheads really need to get to their brushes quickly. Though.
Yes, the idea was that, but now it's like they'll fit on like a 10-inch tom,
right,
or 13. So if you were doing like a cocktail gig, did they still use that term?
I don't know. I'm thinking of things that unusual, like how about a concert snare drum?
Okay.
Just put it on the rim of your concert snare drum for those quick stick changes. In when you're going from one classical era to another.
Switching around. Yeah.
It's an interesting design.
We also kind of did a suede-ish thing here, so when you're...
It's textural.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just slippery plastic. It's got a texture, like you'd see on the outside of some phones or phone cases. Where it's got a feel to it, so they're not just going to slide.
Yeah, so when you're in the studio, the sticks are hitting each other, but they're not going to ravel as much.
Right.
Or on the gig. It helps to hold them. So the main other feature is that clip goes on, but it leaves about a 1/4 of an inch gap. About a 1/4 of an inch. Anyway, it leaves a slight gap between the clip and the station. Right? Yeah, right there. So that stops or helps stop the vibration coming off. Right? So
I don't have a good grip on it. That's why it's shaky.
Yes. So we always the directions always have the thing. Don't jam them all the way down.
Right. Manipulate that to your benefit.
Yes, exactly. So.
Well, cool. Are they on the market yet?
They just came on about a month ago. So here at the show, we are seriously premiering them, as it were.
And where would they find them on your website, which is?
Yes, if they went to www.bopworks.net, and we have a nice detailed thing regarding the clip. And
I'm going to yell that so people hear it. Bopworks.net. You can find them there. And also, do you have dealers that are stocking these? Starting to. Okay. And what's the street price on it?
Street price is $34.50, which, considering the hassle, like I saw your video when you were switching, it's like I can't do that.
Well, I was talking about a video I did where I switched from sticks to brushes and back, but I pointed out everybody has a different way of doing it, and this solves that.
Yes.
You know, Butch Miles, rest in peace, put him in his back pocket. I remember seeing Joe LaBarber put him on the floor. It would reach all the way down there. You put them under your arm, under your leg. It gets a little crazy. And this really solves it.
And yes, it used to drive me crazy, and it's not that far a drive now. So
it ain't that far a drive.
Yeah.
We're all bozos on this bus.
We are, but that's what makes it fun.
You got to remember, folks, this is day 2 of a drum crazy thing. You know, you're in a room with hundreds of drummers and more than 100 booths, and everybody's talking drums and playing drums. And by the end of the day, it's hard to know your own name.
Yes. So,
isn't that right, Phil?
I'm Phil.
And we get a little loopy like this.
We do, and
Christy's loopy all the time.
I am actually. That's actually why I started this company. So,
did I tell you why I did that? Yeah, why did you do that anyway?
So I bought one of those Bill Stewart complex rides, the first version, down at Tommy's Drum Shop in Austin, Texas.
Tommy's a good friend of ours.
Very good guy. Yeah, great shop. So I was all excited, because I thought I'd move to New York and take Bill Stewart's gig. So I was playing the Elephant Room, and I brought that cymbal down, and it was like I could not get it to sound. So it did really annoy the guitar player, so that's a bonus. So I took it home, and I'm sitting there thinking, how am I going to do this, man? This cymbal sucks. Sorry, Zoltan. And so the next day, I pulled out one of the drumsticks that I collect, and Roy Haynes model, and which is actually really close to this Birdland. Mm-hmm. And I played the thing on the cymbal, and it was like, oh my God, that's how those guys were doing it. Because you're the expert on this, but would you say cymbals maybe 60s, not being consistent, but I think like Phosphorus and some of the other companies. I'm asking you, but did they have...
Ask away.
Did they have, I hate to use the word, but more crappier cymbals, and it was hard, because...
Years ago, you talking? Are you asking that they get better and more consistent in modern day than old times?
Because if they're using a stick like this on a older, like an A or a K back then, they had to be using sticks that were something akin to this.
No, I see where you're going with that. I'll tell you a little story. When I had my cymbal booths at trade shows, the stick companies would always come around and leave me sticks so that people could come and hear them, and I would be very thankful. And 90% of them we wouldn't use because the beads were not for cymbals. You need a tapered, nice musical bead. You give me something with a big round ball on it. It has its place. Something that you can, some big giant stick that you need for certain venues.
Yes.
That wasn't what we did.
We did not, and playing like a hotel lobby or some marble encased room, it's like, and you can go to brushes, but I wanted to kind of bring these back because I didn't want to be forced to play brushes.
And let's not forget that's the context most drummers work in.
Yes.
Most of us don't do tours. Most of us aren't lucky enough to live in the studio. We're lucky when we get the dates.
We are.
Most of us will do lots of different styles, but we're moving our own stuff and we're playing our own gear and we're choosing our own sounds.
We are.
And that's the niche that Bopworks fills.
I think so. And
very well.
they all have the longer taper, so it takes a while to get used to them, just because they are so thin. And but you have to remember they were using sticks like that back in the, who knows, Jimmy Cobb.
Well, if you ever go listen to like the Ellington Band and from the 40s, that's not how big bands play today. That way, like half the volume. First of all.
And it's in cap heads.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, how are
and
they
a bass that
sound?
didn't have an amplifier.
That's right. Yeah, and
So
sometimes guitar.
music got louder and louder, and then the music. Well, I don't blame the manufacturers; they're filling a need. You needed bigger, heavier cymbals. You needed bigger drums with power toms. You needed big sticks. You needed that stuff.
Yeah.
But so many of the drummers who didn't play those things kind of felt left out by that change.
Yes, I think so.
And hence the need for Bopworks to come onto the market.
And these are, we used to call them pencil sticks. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It was,
I can't play those pencils, man.
Yeah, man. They can't get out. They're too thin. So.
They weren't too thin for Mel Lewis and Shelly Manne and Billy Joe and, all those guys, right? Blakey, Max, they weren't playing giant sticks.
They had potential, I think. So, yeah, it's sort of like back then, those guys could have had any stick length made. It wasn't like this. This is an older concept. So, obviously, they were doing something right, in terms of stick sound. Especially on some of those cymbals, right? Because we all run into the older ones. And it's like, how many Ks do you have to run into before you like them?
Sounds like a start of a joke.
We need to do that.
Hey, write in, folks. How many Ks do you have to play to find a great one? And it's got to be a joke. It's humor.
It does.
Don't just say a lot. Or one if you get the right one. Yeah, we know that. But it's a joke. Fill in the blanks. Make a joke.
Yeah. So just email us at bopworks.net.
And in the winner, we'll get one stick.
Yes.
One stick.
One stick.
And, then you'll, you can, I don't know, wear it with pride, show it with pride. We're getting really silly. It's time to wrap up.
All right, excellent. Okay.
Thank you for coming by.
My pleasure. Thank you for
Good luck
me.
with your company, and I'll see you again. Continued good luck. And I'll see you next time I'm in Austin.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you, Michael.